Welcome back to the Sports Source. It's always a clean show here at the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Calhoun's. Right there, you see it. If you're looking for a spot to watch the Rams and Patriots today, try one of the 9 area Calhoun's locations. Ribs, barbecue, all the appetizers you could possibly want. Craft beer from Smoky Mountain Brewery. If you're looking for a last-minute destination for you and your friends, Calhoun's, any one of the 9 in East Tennessee. All right. Want to welcome in the next 2 members of our panel. We have right here longtime sports writer Bob Hodge, and right there from GoVols247.com, Ryan Callahan. You guys are busy right now with recruiting. Signing day is on Wednesday. I asked you to give me a list. We did this last week. It's had a change or two this week. Here's a list of what Ryan feels are the top 7 targets for Tennessee, the battles to watch. Ryan, if you would, step us through this. About 30 seconds on each one. Where does Tennessee stand with these guys, et cetera?
Obviously, Darnell Wright's a guy we've been talking about for a long time top target, and it looks like Tennessee's still the heavy favorite to land him. He's still in town right now, wrapping up his official visit to Tennessee. West Virginia is the only other school that's hosted him on an official visit. They weren't a contender for a long time. The new coaching staff has tried. I don't know that they've made up enough ground, though, so Tennessee looks like the likely pick there. George Pickens is maybe the interesting one on this list. Longtime Auburn commitment, 5-star player, obviously. Tennessee getting the last visit this weekend. Georgia also has hosted him on a visit down the stretch. Miami, they all feel like they've got at least a little bit of a shot, and their academic concerns. That's always a wild card with a player like this, but Auburn has had him for a long time and still hoping to hold on to him, so that's one worth watching. Henry To'oTo'o has been a trickier one for Tennessee down the stretch. It looked like they had some momentum at one point. Now most people seem to think he ends up at Alabama or Washington. That one obviously would be a big deal. Tennessee's still a finalist. He named his 3 finalists yesterday, but Tennessee still thought as an underdog there. Jamie Robinson, defensive back from Georgia, doesn't look like he's likely to end up at Tennessee, but again, they're a finalist, one of the 4. South Carolina or Auburn most likely for him.
And that is how he spells it, by the way.
Yes.
For anybody thinking
Correct.
He spelled it Jamie, that's how he spells it.
It's just pronounced Jamie. Now, Kenny Solomon here is
he's new to the list.
A newer addition to the list. As you can see, lower ranked, but Tennessee sort of found him an under-the-radar guy. He's about 6 feet tall and runs about a 4.45 in the 40. So a good track guy, has a 10.6, 900 meters. So a lot to like there. He's just sort of been an under-the-radar guy in Tennessee, hoping he can be maybe an interesting late find if they do decide to squeeze him into this class. Space is a concern, so you've got to figure out, do you have 2 or 3 spots left? Can you squeeze in a 4th? Anthony Harris, not shown on this list, a longtime Tennessee commitment, still could be part of the class, so all that goes into that. Jakeem Green, if there was maybe a long shot possibility that could end up in the class, he's another guy with academic concerns, longtime South Carolina commitment, but South Carolina might not sign him because of those academic concerns. Does Tennessee maybe have an open spot late to make a push for him and say, okay, we need some defensive line help. We'll go ahead and take you and play the odds that you can get in. And then the last name on that list looks like he can be stricken from the list essentially, but worth discussing. Chris Russell, linebacker from West Tennessee, was scheduled to be in this weekend at Tennessee, did not make the trip, so it looks like he'll end up at A&M or Arkansas, with Texas A&M looking like the favorite.
Good news with the work they've done on the offensive line, but it doesn't look great at the linebacker level if you don't get those 2.
That's the concern, is you were hoping to get both of those guys. Looks like you might strike out on both To'oTo'o and Chris Russell.
Let's talk numbers. You took 3 grad transfers last year, and the fact that you're going to sign 25 this week means you back counted, forward counted, green shirted, purple shirted. They do have enough numbers wise. I mean, they have enough slots to get all these guys in they want. You say it's tight? How tight?
It's tight. I think 3 is essentially the working number for what you should expect Tennessee to add to this class. You could maybe squeeze in a 4th in the right scenario, but probably 3. And that's where you wonder if they just get a couple guys, do they decide to stand pat and let that be it? Do they decide to just not have to count someone else forward to next year? Because that's what you're talking about doing. The more you sign, the more likely you are to have to count someone ahead to next year. If you just get a couple guys, do you maybe sit there and just say, we'll let that be it and be able to sign 25 next year?
Let's take a look at the 247.com national recruiting rankings, if we've got those. Okay. Tennessee is ranked 15th on that list nationally. There you go. The gold ones are the SEC teams. Alabama, Georgia. So Tennessee ranks 7th down in the SEC, 15th in the nation. Ryan, very quickly, like 20 seconds. Yeah. Where is Tennessee projected to finish, you think?
I think they end up between 11 and 13 most likely. Darnell Wright, looking like he ends up at Tennessee, means they're probably going to move up, but they probably need a second elite player to crack the top 10. They would need a George Pickens or a Henry To'oTo'o. So short of that, probably somewhere in the 11 to 13 range.
Bob, everyone's going to be watching these rankings. Everyone's going to be angry or happy about it, how closely should they be watching these things?
Oh, I think you watch it with one eye and let the other eye know.
Wander? Let the other eye wander?
Yes. It's a roadmap. Yeah. You get a good general idea, but it's not the end product. And I think if you sit there and you get too hung up on the difference between 15 or 13, then I think you're probably taking a little bit too seriously. I mean, if the difference was between 15 and 6, okay, now you've made a big, quite a gap.
How well are you meeting some of your immediate needs? I mean, how well are you bringing somebody in that's got a chance to compete? I mean, if you only sign 2, just sign 2. That's why, especially after you've pointed out, John, with the players.
And here's the thing: this is a team that's got needs everywhere.
Right.
And the linebacker thing, okay, that's a little bit worrisome, but it looks like you've done good on the offensive line. But once again, okay, it's a good idea of where you are. It's not the end product, obviously.
Yeah, and I agree with you. The difference when you're looking at 2 or 3 slots, that could be one player who blows out a knee. One player who comes to Knoxville or Gainesville or whatever, breaks up with his girlfriend, doesn't get his head on straight, transfers out. Okay, now your recruiting ranking means what? So to me, if you're talking the difference between 15 and 11 is not the same as 15 and 5 or 15 and 35.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't freak out if you waver a little
Or
bit.
if
they wind up 11, that's pretty good.
If you sign somebody and they turn out to be not academically eligible, what good has that done? You've moved up some, but it hasn't really helped you.
Another reason that final ranking maybe doesn't mean as much or maybe not worth freaking out about, you also don't include Aubrey Solomon and D'Angelo Gibbs in those numbers, and they have to count toward this class essentially for numbers purposes. So getting those transfers in, that's a big deal, and that's not really reflected in these rankings.
There's a lot of math goes into this. That's the reason I couldn't do it.
That's another reason I wish that the NCAA would just stop with the gray shirt, blue shirt, purple shirt. You got 25 a year. Be good with it or shut up. That's the way I would look at it. It makes it a lot easier for us in the media. All right, which it's all about. Later on, we got a little bit more on Tennessee's football staff. It looks like the final assignments have been made. We'll discuss that. Next, though, Grant Williams. Where does he rank among the all-time Vols of the last, let's say, 45, 50 years? Come on back.